You won't believe it, but one of the most hated boxers of our time tried to fix his reputation, and somehow made it even worse. Surprisingly, not that long ago, Ben Whittaker was a crowd favorite because of his antics in the ring. Whittaker's supreme confidence in the pro boxing ring came from his long amateur career, where he collected numerous wins and even earned a silver medal at the Olympics. But just so you understand Ben's ambition, he cried when he saw the silver medal, because for him, only gold would do. However, he didn't want to wait for another Olympics, so he turned pro. There, he quickly made a name for himself thanks to his flashy performances against fighters who were way below his class. It's important to understand a key point here. Boxing has had its own hierarchy for over 100 years. There are boxing stars, regular boxers, and, at the very bottom, journeymen. This is the ecosystem of professional boxing, where everyone has a role and supports each other. A boxing superstar doesn't just feed themselves, they support promoters, the regular boxers they fight, and even the fighters on their undercards. But even to reach the level of a regular boxer, you need experience. And that's where journeymen come in. Journeymen are fighters who help rising prospects look good and gain valuable ring experience. They step into the ring for the paycheck, not to win. And there's no need for bribery or secret deals. Everyone understands journeymen have a lower skill level, but they need the money, and so they willingly take fights where the odds are heavily stacked against them. This system has existed for generations, and everyone accepts their role, because without one piece, the entire structure collapses. That's why even entertainers like Roy Jones Jr. never mocked journeymen. Everyone already knew Roy was going to win. His job was simply to get comfortable in the pro boxing world with their help. Jones saved his showboating for serious opponents like former champion James Toney. Mocking someone like Toney wasn't about humiliating. It was about showcasing Roy's insane skill level. To clown around against a fighter of James Toney's caliber, you need to be exceptionally good. However, based on what you're about to see, it seems like Ben Whittaker either has no idea about boxing etiquette, or he just doesn't care and is ignoring it for his own benefit. But the insane hype train came to a screeching halt when Whittaker faced the unremarkable Liam Cameron, a fighter handpicked so that Ben could beat him up and showboat at his expense. And yet, nothing went according to plan. Let's first quickly recap what happened in the first fight before we move on to the rematch that might have permanently ruined Whittaker's career forever. On the undercard of the Dmitry Bivol vs. Artur Beterbiev fight, Ben defended his IBF International Light Heavyweight title against Liam Cameron. Despite Cameron's 23-6 record, he was a tougher opponent than Ben's previous challengers, having fought for several minor titles, though only winning one. This was a logical step up in competition for Ben Whittaker, which he was expected to handle without any issues. As soon as the bell rings to start the fight, Liam Cameron immediately moves forward and attacks with a jab, but Whittaker quickly takes control of the center of the ring. Whittaker measures the distance with his lead hand, but his opponent doesn't let him settle, knocking his hand down and following up with a couple more jabs. In response, Whittaker starts to attack with long jabs and once again pressures Liam towards the ropes. Whittaker uses one of his signature setups, a quick light jab, to provoke his opponent to counter. Then he pulls back and lands a powerful jab of his own. Feeling comfortable, Ben throws one of his signature body shots, a left hook to the body without any setup. His opponent tries to counter with a jab, but misses, forcing Whittaker to move backward. Notice that Ben moves his head back first, followed by his feet. This will affect him in later rounds. Cameron attempts to close the distance with a sloppy left hook, but Whittaker pivots away, putting his opponent with his back to the ropes. Both land jabs in the exchange that follows. Whittaker demonstrates one of his signature visual moves, throwing many straight punches at the block, followed by a hook to the body. These punches don't do any real damage, but it creates the illusion that he is attacking aggressively. Even great boxers like Sugar Ray Leonard used to play to the crowd to score points. A wild overhand from Cameron forces Ben to simply evade, and right after that, Cameron throws another overhand with the rear hand, which Ben again tries to slip, but gets caught. Cameron moves in close and lands a left hook, because Whittaker once again tries to pull back instead of blocking. Cameron rushes in with an overhand, but Ben sees it coming and pivots out of the way, just like earlier in the round. Whittaker measures the distance with his lead hand, then dips as if to go to the body. Cameron quickly catches on to the feint, knowing that Ben will soon throw an uppercut either to the body or the head. Cameron responds with a strong overhand, which Ben tries to dodge at the last moment. However, this time Whittaker extends his lead hand to block the punch, then counters with a 1-2 to the guard. Liam tries to jab back but misses, forcing Whittaker's head to pull back. Whittaker shows off with flashy movements, dodging punches that aren't really there and responding with punches to the guard. While it looks good, it wastes his cardio. Before Cameron even begins his next attack, he quickly notices that Whittaker seems to be looking for a reason to pull back and slip. Seeing this, Liam throws a light overhand followed by an uppercut. Cameron fakes an overhand, ready to catch Ben slipping and countering with a hook. But this time, it was just a feint, and Whittaker's hook hits nothing but air. At the end of the round, Liam throws a jab, which Ben ducks under to clinch. This leads to a final exchange, where Whittaker lands a jab to the head and body, while Liam responds with a body jab. Ben prepares to slip and counter, but ends up getting hit. Round 2 starts with pressure from Liam Cameron, who shows no fear of Whittaker, using his jab to chase Ben all around the ring. Whittaker tries to respond, but his punches are just a lot of jabs to the guard. Liam fakes moving forward, and Whittaker falls for it. Liam does this 2 more times, and out of frustration, Ben punches the air. Cameron sees Whittaker shifting and throws a jab. Ben doesn't raise his guard, attempting to slip from an awkward position. He misses and ends up against the ropes, where Liam unloads a combination of punches. Whittaker nervously smiles in the clinch, trying to whisper something to his opponent, but receives an overhand punch in response. By the middle of the second round, Cameron has figured out Whittaker's timing. He blocks Ben's jab and quickly counters with a hook. The punch seems much faster now, as Liam knows the exact moment to throw it. Afterward, Ben once again hits Liam's guard with straight punches. But notice the effect of the punches. When Liam counters with his jab, Ben's head snaps back and he pivots away. So not only does he take damage, but he also exhausts himself with unnecessary movements. Liam throws a jab that Ben managed to dodge with his upper body and predictably tries to duck under it. But Cameron has seen this too many times by now and catches him with an uppercut. By now, even a blind person could see that Ben Whittaker is preparing to pull back and counter with a straight punch. Liam notices this, of course, and lands a light jab to Ben's body, which makes Whittaker lose his composure. He pulls back quickly, punches at the air with a straight, and then gets smacked on the back of the head in return. Ben ducks to convince his opponent he's about to go for a body shot, then pops up with a hook, which Liam anticipates and blocks. Liam counters with a 1-2, landing both punches cleanly, despite Whittaker's attempts to dodge. Liam throws a sloppy 1-2 combination, and instead of capitalizing on it, Whittaker starts dancing, then moves back toward the ropes. In the third round, Cameron grew more brazen, doubling his jab, which Whittaker dodges as if he had a brain swelling. This leaves him wide open for an overhand that lands square on his head. Liam rushes in with 2 hooks, and once again, Ben tries to slip away by pulling back. This highlights one of Whittaker's main issues. Instead of using his legs first and then his upper body, he constantly relies on his head and torso for evasion. This often puts him in situations where his head is near the ropes, while his feet are still in the middle of the ring. It's a beginner-level technical error that Whittaker makes in every fight. By now, it's clear that all the unnecessary jerking around has tired Ben out, and he starts backpedaling around the ring. His opponent feints a body shot, but follows up with an overhand to the head and then an uppercut. This combination rattles Ben. In response, he throws a combination at the guard, followed by a clinch where Whittaker gets positioned into a compromising spot. How would you describe this position? Let me know in the comments. By the fourth round, Whittaker had lost so much credibility that his opponent started showing off right in front of him, even taunting him with his tongue. Immediately after, Liam brazenly landed a straight, an overhand, and a body hook. Just when Ben thought the assault was over, Liam added another overhand for good measure. With each passing minute, Liam showed Whittaker less and less respect. A single overhand shook Ben's head violently. By the end of the round, multiple punch combinations were landing cleanly on Whittaker. Ben tried to smile and respond, but at this point his movements were glitching. In the fifth round, it became obvious right from the start that Ben no longer believed he could win. In frustration, he threw an entire combination of low blows. 2 jabs pushed Whittaker against the ropes, followed by a powerful overhand. Ben hit a new low, pretending that his mouth guard had fallen out after a jab. In reality, he was exhausted and trying to buy some time while his mouth guard was being picked up and cleaned. After a brief rest, Whittaker was ready to continue getting punched in the head. Ben ducked under an overhand, but that didn't save him from the barrage of body shots that followed. With each round, the beating grew more brutal, considering how much Whittaker loves hitting below the belt and pulling dirty tricks with his mouthguard. It's no surprise that by the end of the fifth round, we saw a bizarre clinch where both fighters fell out of the ring. But Liam Cameron quickly got back up, ready to keep fighting, while Ben Whittaker, after consulting with his corner, claimed to have a serious leg injury. You'd think after a fighter says he can't continue, Liam would be awarded a TKO victory. At the very least, because of the strange clinch, it should have been ruled a no contest. But let's not forget that promoters have big plans for Ben Whittaker. So, for the first time in boxing history, despite the fight going into the fifth round, the organizers decided to count only the first 4 rounds and announce a draw based on the judge's decision. It's easy to explain. They had to salvage Ben Whittaker's career somehow. They clearly wanted to avoid a technical knockout loss and ignored the fifth round because Ben lost it so badly that no one would believe any other result. So they decided to score just the first 4 rounds, where the only round that could arguably be given to Whittaker was the first. Since the number of rounds was even, they conveniently declared a draw. In this way, the organizers, judges, and referee did everything they could to save Ben Whittaker. The rematch wasn't immediate, but eventually it was booked. It was clear that, above all, this was a brand repair fight. Promoters to clean up Ben Whittaker's image. They needed to convince fans that he didn't quit the first fight out of fear of losing, but because supposedly he had a sore leg. They also wanted to show that Ben might be a clown dancer knockout artist in the ring, but outside of it, he's just a humble guy. Apparently, no one bothered to explain the plan to Ben himself, because at the press conference, he came across as extremely arrogant, cocky, and in total denial of reality.
Like I said, after I win, I'll move on. It's just another fight. I say he's more emotionally attached to it than I am. He turned up his best, I turned up my worst, and he still really couldn't do much.
Definitely,
the highlight of the fight is we flew over the rope.
3 weeks before the fight.
Oh, that's amazing news. I hope it's better now.
Yeah, it's
fair play.
You noticed it because
the
you call
thing
me
is,
big
like,
nose.
why when I talk, everybody's gotta start butting in? I'm gonna let you have your.
Yeah, but
No, sit back in your chair and relax, man. So back to what you were saying. At the end of the day, he turned up his best, and that's the point of it. He turned up his best. I turned up my worst, and it looked like 2 kids just come out of Weatherspoons, drunk, swinging. That's all it was. When I turned up April the 20th.
listen, I wish him all the best. It's nothing personal. I've had a lot out of Ben. Got a new career, new airline, new sponsors. I'm buzzing. I'm living life. Look at me. Look at me there. Should be Cameron Whittaker, but yeah, thank you for everyone what's supported me. It means the world to me.
This negative aura carried over into fight night itself. Keep in mind, this wasn't even a title fight. There were no belts on the line. The whole event existed solely to fix Ben's reputation, but the crowd wasn't buying what the promoters were selling. The moment Whittaker walked into the arena, the boos started raining down, and they didn't stop until the very end of the fight. Actually, they got even louder by the end. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because this night wasn't just a fight between two boxers. It was one boxer, Liam Cameron, taking on another boxer and the referee. To win, Liam Cameron had to fight a perfect fight. He couldn't afford to eat even a single clean punch. Meanwhile, Whittaker could count on the ref jumping in to save him with his own body if needed. From the very first second, both fighters engaged in a jab battle, but with completely different approaches. Whittaker relied on his hand speed and timing, while Cameron used pure technique, always angling off as he threw his jab. As a result, Ben Whittaker kept eating clean jabs right to the head. Whittaker kept trying to feint a body jab to land a jab upstairs or throw a straight to the body and then come back up top, all in hopes of landing just one clean shot. But Cameron wasn't falling for any of it. He caught every jab with a tight high guard. At this point, around the 2:16 mark, Cameron's game plan became partially clear. He was trying to slip under Whittaker's jab and come over the top with a left hook. The only problem was that technically he was executing it so awkwardly that it looked more like a slap across Whittaker's glove than a clean punch. In response, Whittaker didn't adjust at all. He just started throwing the classic 1-2 combo more often. Again, straight into Cameron's high guard. But the thing is, a guard is still just hands and gloves, not a steel shield. Sooner or later, it would weaken. And psychologically, it's draining to just sit there absorbing punches. Little by little, Whittaker started getting more reactions out of Liam. At one point, Cameron just blatantly closes the distance and manages to get into a clinch. Before he could even throw a punch, the referee sprinted in at full speed to separate them. Just a reminder, it was the clinch work and dirty boxing in the first fight that mentally broke Ben Whittaker. But this time, Whittaker casually scratched his head with his glove, and the ref immediately jumped to fulfill Ben's unspoken request. Once the fight resumed, Ben went right back to poking Cameron's high guard with his jab. After a few jabs, Whittaker sidestepped to avoid getting trapped on the ropes. That's when Liam Cameron caught him with a hook to the body. It was becoming obvious that all this running backwards while jabbing was starting to wear Ben out, so he himself rushed into a clinch. Unlike the first time, though, the ref didn't even bother trying to break them up quickly. After breaking out of the clinch with a punch, Whittaker went back to running. But this time, Cameron didn't just catch him with a body hook, he landed a whole combination, finishing with a powerful straight right. It was clear the shot pissed Ben off, so he started his classic clown routine to distract the crowd from the fact he just got lit up. Between his jabs into the guard, Ben occasionally tried throwing to the body, and that's where Cameron baited him perfectly. Cameron hit him to the body first, and when Whittaker tried to respond with his own body shot, Liam caught him with an uppercut, a shot that Whittaker pretty much dove straight into. The end of the round clearly belonged to Cameron. He landed a few clean jabs, not on the guard, but straight to the face, and finished with a combo. Meanwhile, Ben responded with more clownish dancing. The second round started aggressively. Ben upped the number of jabs to the guard and mixed in body hooks. But if you paid close attention, every single body hook either hit Cameron's elbows or his thighs. Cameron, on the other hand, just kept pressing and wearing Ben down, and it paid off. Whittaker initiated another clinch, but the second Cameron tried to work inside the clinch, the referee rushed in to break them apart. After the reset, Whittaker continued throwing fast air combos, to which Liam responded with his own punches. Just look at the difference in impact. Even Ben couldn't hide it. After feeling the shots, he immediately tried to clinch. Cameron wouldn't let him, and as Ben pulled away, Liam cracked him with another shot. But apparently the ref couldn't bear to watch anymore, so he jumping between them.
Oh, hell no. You're pushing the Warriors?
Instantly, bro, I'm storming the fucking court, bro, and we're scrapping one-on-one, bro. I'm defending Curry with all my might and will, bro.
After that weird moment, the fight resumed, and Whittaker went back to flicking his light jabs. Cameron decided to just walk through them and paid the price. This seems to have been Whittaker's real game plan. Convince Cameron that his punches were weak, lure him in, and then counter with a hard straight shot. Cameron was clearly stunned and instinctively went into a high guard. Whittaker began unloading shots, but if you look closely, almost none of them actually landed clean on Cameron. Still, that was enough for the referee, not just to call a knockdown, but to stop the fight entirely. An absolute joke. This was one of the worst stoppages of the 21st century, maybe even in the history of boxing. Based on the logic used here, Liam Cameron entered a fight where he wasn't allowed to make a single mistake. Taking even one hard shot apparently meant automatic defeat. It was obviously a rigged setup designed to clean up Ben Whittaker's image, though judging by Ben's behavior, he might not even have been in on the plan. How else do you explain the fact that after winning, Ben ran straight into Cameron's corner, laughed in his face, and followed up with more clownish antics? Ben Whittaker is the textbook example of a fighter with a solid amateur background who convinced promoters he could become a star, so that everyone could cash in on his success. But the hate he's getting, remember, the crowd was already booing him even before the fight started, hints that maybe Whittaker could become the first fighter who fails to pull off the fake nice guy persona and carefully manufactured career. It used to work before, but now there's this little thing called the internet, where people can share their opinions and explain things casual boxing fans might not notice. What do you think? Will people be able to stop Ben Whittaker's fake rise to stardom? Or is he destined to become boxing's next big star?